at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Today on Good Morning Maine, a former physician at a Blue Hill hospital has been convicted in federal court for handing out narcotics. Plus, a plane crash on Swans Island on Tuesday appears to be related to a landing gone wrong. And we'll hear from two young Enfield Station School students who are now published authors. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith and thank you for tuning in this morning. My colleague Craig Colson is taking a well-deserved brief vacation, but it's a rainy one out there this morning, so let's get a check of that forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
All righty, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. We offer a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 cash drawing. Stop by with your returnables and enter for a chance to win. All right, let's get into things this morning. We have a small crowd advisory posted for just a small spot right about in here. That's going to be expiring this morning, so that's pretty much getting out of here as we speak. But of course, we have fog to watch out for this morning, so you might be noticing some of that in parts of Bangor, Millinocket, and areas further off towards the east this morning, so you might be dealing with that at least for a little while yet. Meanwhile, though, here's the radar and satellite. We have showers and even some thunderstorms at times tracking from the west and going toward the east. This thing's a fast mover. It will be getting out of here this morning, but our chances for showers and thunderstorms doesn't end here. We will have more chances coming up throughout the afternoon period as well with this wave of energy tracking from the west and going toward the east. So this is just round one of showers and storms moving through. More opportunities will exist coming up later on today. So Futurecast moving forward showing those chances again for scattered showers and storms this afternoon, maybe through the evening as well, at least the early evening part before we start to clear out as we head towards early Friday morning. As for the winds, though, not looking too bad, at least to start things off, but maybe later in the evening, the winds may start to pick up a bit, and the winds may continue also in the parts of your Friday. But your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, overall a mixture of clouds and sunshine, chances for showers and thunderstorms will exist with temperatures in the 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Thank you, Devin. We'll check in with you again a little later on. Well, it was a startling scene on Swans Island on Tuesday as a plane crashed in a homeowner's property. Our Doug Banks spoke with the person who captured the heart-stopping event on camera.
It happened so fast that it was hard to process in the moment.
This footage posted on Facebook by Sharon Tozier-Gilly Tuesday evening shows the fixed-wing, single-engine Model 150B Cessna clipping trees with its left wing and nearly avoiding a power line before crashing down into a field of trees. According to a report from the Hancock County Sheriff's Office, the report states the sole occupant, the pilot, suffered minor injuries. WVII has confirmed the plane is registered to Robert Kohut. His Facebook account says he lives in Swans Island, and FAA records indicate he's from Sag Harbor, New York. 6 miles off the coast of Mount Desert Island, Swans Island is approximately 80 square miles with a population of around 350 according to the latest census records. The woman who posted the crash video tells us it happened on Stockbridge Hill Road, less than a mile from the privately owned Banks Airport.
He said that he was trying to land and realized he couldn't and was trying to take back off.
Megan Joyce, a Swans Island resident who captured the incident on her phone, says she first went outside when she thought the plane was doing touch and goes. Joyce says she immediately ran to the scene of the crash and called 911.
When I got there, he was trying to get out. He said he was fine. I was more worked up than he was. He was like, I'm fine. Calm down, I'm good. He walked out of the plane, crawled out of it, and then walked away from it.
It is unclear at this time what caused the plane to go down. The crash is currently being investigated by the FAA. In a situation that could have been much worse, Joyce is thankful the pilot walked out alive.
Not something I recommend anyone has to watch or experience.
Reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News, I'm Doug Banks.
Very lucky. Well, a physician who once worked at what is now Northern Light Blue Hill Hospital has been convicted in federal court of unlawfully distributing controlled substances, including oxycodone, hydromorphone, and fentanyl. More recently, 53-year-old Dr. Meredith Norris had been practicing in Kennebunk, but for a time also worked at a Blue Hill hospital. According to a report from the Department of Justice, Norris gave drugs to patients at her practice without a legitimate medical purpose, prescribing the substances even though some of those patients suffered from opioid use disorder or appeared to be diverting the drugs to others. The report also said Norris's behavior did not go unnoticed, saying she was repeatedly warned about her actions, including by pharmacists who refused to fill prescriptions she wrote. Walmart pharmacies also issued a central block, or a national ban, on filling prescriptions written by Norris. The jury convicted Norris of 15 counts of unlawfully distributing controlled substances. Each count carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison, meaning she faces a maximum 300-year sentence. In other news now, body cameras meant to improve transparency did not work during a deadly police shooting in Auburn in 2021. That shooting was deemed justified earlier this year. Mal Meyer found out why the body camera failed and what's being done about it.
You can see an armed confrontation between a responding police sergeant and man in the parking lot.
For when the officer draws their weapon, it automatically starts the body camera.
A year before the shooting, Chief Jason Moen told city councilors about a body camera system they were considering.
Because we want to simplify it for the officer.
But the Attorney General's office says the camera did not activate in this case. 36-year-old Joseph Arbor was shot after crossing the street. Surrounding businesses tell us that they don't have security cameras outside, or they only show their properties.
We need to be as transparent as possible.
Chief Moen refused to do an interview, but said in a statement the body camera failed due to a software issue that was beyond the officer's control. They worked with the camera vendor, and processes have been installed to ensure it doesn't happen again.
Any piece of technology can fail from time to time, so I don't think that the public should necessarily draw a conclusion.
Mayor Jeff Harmon used to be in law enforcement and the software industry. He wasn't mayor at the time of the body camera discussions or shooting.
I think it's a great tool. It's very beneficial. If a body camera failed in some particular incident, that's very unfortunate.
And that was Mal Meyer reporting. The percentage of Mainers either employed or looking for work have returned to pre-pandemic levels. That's according to statistics from the Maine Department of Labor. Maine's labor participation rate, which is the percentage of working age people who are either employed or are looking for work, was 59.4%, a total of around 695,000 residents last month. That figure is up by more than 10,000 from a year ago. Glenn Mills, the deputy director of the Maine Center for Workforce Research, says they started to see recovery from the pandemic a little over 2 years ago in June of 2022.
But since then, we've been most months reaching new highs. So we've been fully recovered. Not every sector is fully recovered. Most are, though. And job growth has kind of proceeded along fairly steadily. And it really has accelerated a little bit in the latter part of 2023. And that partly reflects the influx of population we've had since the pandemic.
The monthly state unemployment rate last month was 3%. That's down slightly from 3.1% just in April. While most teenagers spend their summers playing video games or hanging out with friends, one group decided to spend this week at the Maine Criminal Justice Academy. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard has the story.
Youth interested in pursuing a career in law enforcement got the chance to experience the Maine Criminal Justice Academy in Vassaboro.
It's been a great opportunity. It's been rigorous. It's been really thorough in educating us and giving us like a good taste for like what law enforcement is.
At the beginning, it kind of gave us a little taste of what we're getting ourselves into.
Caleb March and Sonny Beisch are two high school students who participated in the Junior Trooper program, a 3-day course hosted by the Maine Criminal Justice Academy and put on by the Maine State Police.
It's a great experience, you know, interacting with the like I said, the juniors and seniors and then high school. They're trying to figure out what they want to do for the rest of their lives and possible careers. And it's a great way to show them what we do because not a lot of people are familiar with what we do.
During the program, participants spend time both in the classroom and in the field, learning the ins and outs of what it takes to become a Maine State Trooper, including physical fitness, patrol tactics, canines, homicide investigations, and defensive tactics like properly applying handcuffs.
My favorite part is just watching them grow, learning more about themselves. They come in as individuals, not really knowing what the program's about, and it's fun to see them all come together, work as a team, and have a lot of self-growth and realization throughout this process.
Both March and Beige say they want to make a career in law enforcement and will be recommending this program to their peers when they return to school in the fall.
I would 100% recommend. Even if you're not interested, I think it's a great experience, and you kind of get to see from a different perspective from society today what actually goes down in the office or in the patrol car or out there on the streets that people may not be able to tell from the outside world.
For more information about the Junior Trooper Academy program, contact the Maine Criminal Justice Academy. In Vassaborough, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
All right, the time now is 6:10. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, in what's become an annual tradition, hikers in Acadia laced up their boots and carried dirt to a summit to be spread by hand. But before we check that out, let's get another look at that forecast. It's been raining most of the morning. We'll continue to have scattered thunder showers throughout our area today. Highs will be about 77 degrees, dropping down to a low of 51 overnight. That likeliness of thunderstorms is continuing on overnight. But tomorrow for your Friday, a beautiful day, although we will have a bit of a breeze. The sun will be out, a high of mid-70s for your Friday. We'll be right back.
It seems everyone's freaking out over this.
It's gonna be a really freaky Friday.
Finally, a Freaky Friday sequel. And just wait till you hear from Lindsay Lohan herself. Her first TV interview since news dropped about the sequel.
It's great.
This morning on
Good Morning America.
Hammond Lumber has earned a level of trust with generations of contractors, do-it-yourselfers, and homeowners. Hammond Lumber Company, your building project partner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
These local businesses would like to wish you a happy Independence Day, along with safe and fun celebrations all summer long.
Vehicle running a little rough? Let DNS Auto and Brewer fix you right up. Sales and full service repair shop. Running great now. DNS Auto, 510 Wilson Street in Brewer. Building relationships through quality sales and service.
Biden, Trump. Watch the CNN presidential debate simulcast live on ABC tonight. And the night starts at 8 Eastern Live with the ABC News event special, The Race for the White House, with David Muir and the political team, tonight on ABC.
Find half-off deals today and save money by going to foxbangor.com.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Governor's Restaurant celebrated a big anniversary on Wednesday, and lobster roll lovers reaped the benefits. Restaurants across the state offered lobster rolls for $9.65 or $10 for those paying cash. The line was long at the Broadway location, but lobster roll connoisseurs say the wait in line is well worth it.
Is it worth it? Is it worth waiting in line?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm buying 4. I'm getting the coleslaw and the chips with it.
4.
The Lobster Roll Day celebrates the anniversary of Governor's opening each year, and this is their 65th year. The 4th of July and fireworks are synonymous with each other, and while the Brewer Fire Department wants people to have fun, they also want them to be safe. The city's deputy fire chief shared some tips ahead of the holiday. He says people interested in buying fireworks should do so from authorized consumer fireworks stores only and must be 21 years or older. You should never alter fireworks in any way. Be mindful of weather and landscape conditions, and have water on hand in case of a fire. Additionally, the fire department advises against children using sparklers due to the burn risk, but they say if you do, they should be under close supervision.
There's a lot of responsibility that people don't always think about. They think we're just going to launch this fireworks, and it's going to put a nice display into the air, but it's when things go wrong, are we prepared for that?
He also says to know your local municipality's regulations as well as the state of Maine's. For more safety tips, visit our website. Seems like a lot of accidents with fireworks tend to be related to alcohol, so that's always something to keep in mind as well. Okay, moving on. Volunteers laced up their best hiking boots and hauled a mountain of dirt yesterday morning as part of an ongoing effort to rejuvenate Maine's summits and the ecosystems that thrive on them. Our David Ledford tagged along and brings us the story from the trail.
Soil, sweat, and science.
What you're doing today is huge.
That's what it takes to save Maine's summits.
The type of plants that grow here don't really grow much anywhere else on the eastern seaboard.
Wednesday, volunteers filled their backpacks with soil and made the journey to the top of Acadia National Park's Sargent Mountain for this year's first Save Our Summits hike. It's a collaboration between the National Park Service, the Schoodic Institute, and Friends of Acadia to help rehabilitate ecosystems that have been trampled and destroyed over the years.
Once the plants have been trampled, they die, and then the soil either washes or blows off the mountain. We're trying to stop that and in some places restore what was lost.
Scientists say the soil is locally sourced and sterilized to help prevent invasive species from cropping up.
We don't want to make gardens for invasive species. We don't want a dandelion garden up here on the summits.
And organizers say volunteers are an essential part of the process, because hikers can bring soil to areas that can only be accessed by foot.
I think a lot of people aren't aware of what happens when we do, if we're not careful to stay on the rock surfaces.
I think it's a really wonderful community engagement opportunity.
If you want to help save Maine's summits, you can take a guided hike all summer long.
We really want to open up the volunteer opportunity to the wider community and do it more frequently, so we'll be hiking up every Wednesday starting now through early September.
To learn more about the project, visit our website. On Sargent Mountain, David Ledford, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
If David can do it in a button down, so can you. All right, the time now is 6:16. After the break, two girls in Enfield might be getting a jump start on their careers, despite only being in elementary school. We'll hear from the published authors as Good Morning Maine continues.
Comfy, cozy, relaxing. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find rockers, recliners, sofas, and easy chairs. Quality furniture, affordable prices. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
This summer, savor that longest-lasting bowl of chowder, that longest-lasting fireworks show, and that longest-lasting vacation. And now, at the Toyota Summer Sales Event, savor that great deal from the longest-lasting brand. You could get low 4.75 for $60 on an all-wheel drive RAV4 hybrid or gas model, which could save you up to $1,600. Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance. Savor the summer and see your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
Independence Day will be celebrated with fireworks from one end of the continent to the other. From this day forward, Phantom Fireworks. Brighter, louder, safer. When America wants fireworks, America buys Phantom. Thousands of locations with every type of consumer fireworks available. On sale now. Phantom Fireworks, lighting up backyards of America from coast to coast. Visit fireworks.com for a location near you.
Durable, sturdy, stylish. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find solid wood, built to last, made in Maine dressers, bureaus, and nightstands. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
Young students in Enfield are getting an early start on what may be their future careers. The two are both published authors, and they aren't even teenagers yet. Our Callie Warren has the story.
The Magic of Kindness by Anna Mercer. The Lazy Snail.
These two children's books are incredibly special. Both of their authors are young girls from Enfield Station School.
It's fantastic. It's been very exciting. Very proud of them.
Anna Mercer wrote her book at the age of 10, and Addie Dow penned hers at only 7. The books were part of an initiative that got around 200 kids in the school to write their very own stories.
I discovered the program with some colleagues at a conference last year and kind of did the work with our administration and the Share Your Story team to bring it here.
Anna and Addie's were the only two chosen for publishing. Both books have inspiring messages of kindness.
It's about a sorcerer who's jealous of these kids, and he goes on an adventure to try to get rid of them, and then he realizes he wants to be friends with them.
And overcoming obstacles in life.
It's about a snail that hates fresh air, and he not like going outside. He prefers to lay on the couch and watch TV.
These girls want others to know that they can follow their dreams too, no matter their age or where they reside.
To follow your dreams, do what you want, and maybe it will actually just happen for you. Believe in yourself, and if you feel confident about something, keep going with it.
In Enfield, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The end.
A lot of work went into that. I love the concept of being jealous of someone and then becoming their friend. That's a really advanced thing for elementary school students to know about. Very cool. Good for them. Okay, the time now is 6:20. Time to get a full look at that rainy forecast with meteorologist Evan Biggs.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. We offer a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 cash drawing. Stop by with your returnables and enter for a chance to win. Alrighty, here we go. The last of a small crowd advisory will be expiring this morning at 6 a.m. So that's getting out of here now. Of course, as we're watching out for showers and storms that have been greeting us as well this morning. But on top of that, this is why we had that small crowd advisory posted for a bit as the ocean still stirred up with buoys reporting at around 6 feet, not too far away. That will be improving coming up soon. But of course, really one thing that hasn't helped out with is the showers and storms, the active weather we've been seeing, and of course some lightning bolts at times as well. But we'll get this cluster through, and this is not the only round we have. We will have scattered chances for showers and storms coming up later this afternoon as well. So we'll get this wave of energy passing through with more development taking place as the daytime progresses on, especially during the afternoon period. So let's take a look at futurecast here. So here's round one getting out of here. Then during the afternoon period, more scattered chances for showers and storms will be developing. We'll push this off to the east. Then coming up later on tonight, things will begin to calm down as the clouds get out of here. And then for your Friday, a beautiful day. Just a few passing clouds. That looks to be about it there. And then even by Friday night, just some clouds approaching, staying dry nonetheless. Then overall, they're looking pretty good, at least through early Saturday morning. So a little bit of rain on the way for us moving forward for today. This is additional rainfall on top of what we've already gotten. Most of it will be across the northern parts of the state, but locally heavy downpours could still occur in a few areas across the state, so don't be surprised if we get dramatically higher results compared to what others might be seeing. But otherwise, though, once we head towards Sunday, that's when we'll have to watch out for more widespread rain that will be on the way. So between now and maybe early Monday, a lot of rain looks to be entering the picture across the region. Otherwise, though, dew points will be on the rise again very soon. They'll fall later today, though, from the 60s back down to the 50s, if not lower. Then look at the sharp climb Saturday and Sunday. This might be a bit excessive, I think, though, but 70-degree dew points not out of the question as we head towards late Saturday and the parts of Sunday. But meanwhile, though, your forecast coming up for today, scattered showers and thunderstorms with highs in the upper 70s and that west wind only at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Later on tonight, lower 50s, some thunderstorms possible early, then becoming mostly clear overnight with that west wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, a beautiful day, mostly sunny, a little breezy out there with highs in the mid 70s and the northwest wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour at times. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Mostly cloudy on Saturday with highs in the low 70s. Chances for showers and thunderstorms exist on Sunday with highs in the upper 70s. The middle 70s for your Monday under a partly cloudy sky.
Goose River Farm and Meat Store is conveniently located on Route 3 across from Hammond Lumber in Belfast. They have a wide selection of meat and poultry, including beef, pork, lamb, chicken, duck, rabbit, and turkey. Open Tuesday through Saturday.
Adding comfort and beauty to your home for less is as easy as 1, 2, 3 during Renewal by Anderson's Easy 3Z replacement window event. The time to act is now because Renewal by Anderson is making it easy and affordable with huge discounts on our exclusive custom replacement windows and our doors, along with special financing options so affordable you won't want to miss out on this event. And to top it all off, professional installation by our certified master installers is always included. Like we said, Easy 3Z. Call today.
When it comes to the whole home heat pump rebates from Efficiency Maine, there's money on the table for everyone, and the experts at Valley Home Services are here to help you get your share. Even if you received a rebate in the past, you can still take advantage of this program with a new Fujitsu heat pump for your whole house. And no matter your income, there's a rebate for you. Let the folks at Valley Home Services lay out a Fujitsu heat pump plan for you so you can start saving on heating and cooling for your home. Don't leave money on the table. Call Valley Home Services today and get your rebate instantly.
Harris Lumber is locally owned and has been serving the Pequot region for more than 50 years. See them for all your projects, big or small. Customer service is their #1 priority. And with a full line of lumber and hardware items, they can also deliver to your job site. Harris Lumber, Milo.
Dine on the deck with a delicious view at the Lucerne Inn and Ryan's Pub. Experience outdoor dining at its finest. Open Tuesday through Sunday with award-winning dishes from their executive chef, Arturo Montes. Dining on the deck at Ryan's Pub is an unforgettable culinary experience you'll want to share with your family and friends. We are pet-friendly, so your furry friends are always welcome to join you at your table. Your next visit to the Lucerne Inn will feel like the first, all over again.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith. Well, most Americans say they plan to watch at least part of tonight's presidential debate in some form. Months ahead of the election, both candidates have been preparing to cover some hot-button issues. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has the story.
More than 4 months from Election Day, polls show 6 out of 10 voters will catch some of Thursday's debate, either live or in the coverage to follow. With President Biden and former President Trump neck and neck in the polls, the debate could be a major inflection point in the race.
Anywhere between 70 and more than 100 million people will be watching the debate.
Trump and Biden have showed different strategies leading into the debate. For an almost entire week, President Biden has been at Camp David, huddled with a number of advisors, running through key policy issues and mock debates.
You've got Joe Biden, who wakes up every single morning thinking about what he can do for the American people. You've got Donald Trump, who wakes up every single morning thinking about what he can do for himself.
I anticipate he's going to come in ready to go, but at the end of the day, the agenda sucks. We all know it.
Former President Trump has spent more time on the campaign trail, making a recent stop in Philadelphia and calling in to an economic roundtable with his surrogates in Atlanta.
I'm looking forward to him talking with the American people on Thursday, reminding them what life was like when he was president.
I can imagine right now in debate prep at Mar-a-Lago that they're trying to convince Donald Trump to keep the hinges on and be on your best behavior.
The Biden campaign has been working to remind voters of January 6th and has made reproductive rights a centerpiece. Trump will likely try to highlight issues like immigration and inflation. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Israel's military and top-ranking government officials are increasingly contradicting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu when it comes to winning the war in Gaza. Fox News correspondent Trey Yingst has more from Tel Aviv.
Israeli forces pounded Hamas fighters in Rafah on Wednesday as the southern offensive grinds on. Heavy fighting was reported despite the Israeli military declaring the Rafah brigades all but destroyed. But on Wednesday, a top Israeli official breathed new life into the U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant is in Washington meeting with administration officials, striking a more diplomatic tone, saying that Israel's war is with Hamas, not the people of Gaza, and more notably, saying he supports the deal, just days after it was partially rejected by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Looking at the future, we stand firmly behind the president's deal, which Israel has accepted, and now Hamas must accept.
The modified messaging comes as Netanyahu's ruling coalition is being threatened by a new rule mandating ultra-Orthodox Jews be drafted into the military, which has some hardline lawmakers threatening to quit and bring down the government.
We will not join the army because God said not to join, and we only obey him because he protects us from all.
At the same time, Netanyahu is also under pressure from a growing anti-war movement here, driven largely by families of the hostages, who say it's time for him to either bring the captives home or resign.
We heard terrifying tales of women who were released. We saw evidence of what happened on October 7th. We don't have time.
Gallant also said Israel is working to de-escalate tension along the northern border and avoid a broader conflict with Hezbollah. In Tel Aviv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
We're still waiting for a major decision from the Supreme Court on presidential immunity. But today, the justices issued a ruling, yesterday rather, that could impact what we can all see and post on social media. As Fox News correspondent Rebecca Castor reports, the court sided with the Biden administration and threw out claims that government officials pressure social media companies to censor conservative views.
How far can the federal government go to remove alleged misinformation on social media? That was the issue before the Supreme Court. And in Wednesday's ruling, the justices decided the White House and other federal agencies can urge social media platforms to take down certain posts.
It's very frustrating for the free speech community. It's been called Orwellian by lower court judges.
It was a case based on claims the Biden administration was trying to censor conservative views on topics like COVID-19 and the 2020 election. But the White House argues it must communicate with social media apps about potentially dangerous misinformation. Ultimately, the High Court ruled 6-3 that the states and social media users who sued did not have legal grounds to even bring the case. A technicality, but major election year win for President Biden, since this ruling could impact what voters see online.
So this issue will have to wait for another day.
The court's conservative justices were divided on this, 3 with the majority and 3 against. Justice Alito writing, for months, high-ranking government officials placed unrelenting pressure on Facebook to suppress Americans' free speech. Because the court unjustifiably refuses to address this serious threat to the First Amendment, I respectfully dissent.
More rulings from the court are coming Thursday and Friday. Of course, the big one we're waiting on is Donald Trump's presidential immunity case. But we're also waiting on another abortion-related decision. That opinion was accidentally posted on the court's website, then quickly taken down. But it appears the justices are going to rule that doctors must perform abortions in emergency situations, even in states with restrictive abortion laws. From the Supreme Court, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
As she was saying, let's hear more about that abortion decision. The Supreme Court opinion on the controversial abortion case appearing to arrive a bit ahead of schedule. The case involving a suit filed against Idaho by the Biden administration, pushing for federal law on abortion access to overrule the state's law banning most abortions. Bloomberg says a copy of the opinion was briefly posted Wednesday on the court's website, appearing to side with the White House, allowing abortions if a pregnant woman's health was at risk. The document suggests the court will claim they shouldn't have gotten involved so quickly in the case, and that they will reinstate a lower court order allowing hospitals in the state to perform emergency abortions to protect the patient's health. The court, who swiftly took down the post, acknowledged that the document was accidentally posted. And coming up on the second half of the newscast, we get the lecture every major holiday, but still, AAA is projecting this July 4th holiday to witness a record-breaking amount of national travel. We'll hear all about it, plus that full forecast, right after the break.
What's not to like about Maine? It's nice to just pick a road and see where it goes. When you go on a motorcycle ride and you wake up in a helicopter, you know it's not a good day. I broke this arm, this shoulder was shattered, this wrist was broken, I had a concussion. Whether it's your fault or someone else's fault, the only thing you have working for you at that moment is what you have on. If I didn't have all my gear on, I wouldn't be sitting here. There's no way.
Welcome to the Orono Arcade, your local, affordable destination. We want to provide you with the best experience we can without costing a small fortune. Our ever-popular 9-hole blacklight mini golf course is a huge attraction. Plus, we have the best arcade video games to choose from, including both modern and retro games. The Orono Arcade is an ideal birthday party destination. You bring the cake, we'll provide the entertainment. Call us today to schedule your birthday party event.
If you've been in an accident with a truck, making the wrong call can be costly. Evidence and witnesses can disappear. You need to stop that from happening. These are some of the most complicated cases for a law firm, but not if you call one that handles truck cases every day. Call a law firm with the resources, experience, and power to go after every dollar you deserve. If you're hurt in a truck accident, call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein, Maine lawyers working for Maine people.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This local business would like to wish you a happy Independence Day, along with safe and fun celebrations all summer long.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith, and today is Thursday, June 27th, 2024, and today is PTSD Awareness Day. The entirety of June is actually PTSD Awareness Month. It's a complex illness, so it definitely deserves a whole month to learn and educate about it. On that note, PTSD is a complex disorder caused by experiencing or witnessing trauma, which can originate from many events, like potentially an accident, combat, of course, a natural disaster, or an assault. But there are other ways PTSD symptoms can arise as well. Either way, though, a trained professional must diagnose it, and it's not really always straightforward either. It's based on symptoms like hypervigilance, mood swings, reoccurring and involuntary flashbacks to trauma, and avoidance. You can help by educating yourself and others about the illness and sharing help with those who might need it. Because if you are experiencing this, or someone you know or love is experiencing it, there is help available, and help is well-deserved as well. Okay, now for some history. In 1844, Joseph Smith, the founder of the Mormon Church, was killed by an armed mob in Carthage, Illinois. In 1893, there was the Great Stock Crash on the New York Stock Exchange. This is now known as the Panic of 1893. It lasted 4 years and resulted in a great political realignment, as a lot of these as it did in the Depression as well. And in 1898, Canadian-American adventurer Joshua Slocum arrived in Newport, Rhode Island, completing the first solo circumnavigation of the globe. And the boat he did it into was a fishing boat. It was kind of smaller in terms of boats that you'd imagine to travel around the world. And in 1950, Harry Truman ordered the United States Air Force and Navy into the Korean War. In 1954, the CIA-sponsored rebels overthrew the democratically elected government of Guatemala and forced the president to resign. In 1966, the long-running Gothic soap opera Dark Shadows premiered on ABC TV. I absolutely love that show. In 1985, the iconic Route 66 was decertified when the American Association of State Highway and Transportation voted to remove all of its highway signs. And I'm sure somebody knows this, but I really wonder, those Highway 66 signs must be collector's items at this point, and they're probably worth a pretty penny. All right, finally now in 1986, Jim Henson's fantasy film Labyrinth, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly, was released in the United States. That movie is meant to be kind of friendly for kids. It scared me as a kid, but I love it to this day. For birthdays today, we have media personality Khloe Kardashian. She is 40 years old today. American filmmaker J.J. Abrams is 58, and actor Tobey Maguire is 49 today. All right, moving on. It's been rainy all morning. It was kind of pouring early this morning before a lot of folks were up. Rain has kind of been the name of the game for much of the Northeast and the Midwest the past couple days. Some pretty severe flooding in the Midwest, as we saw yesterday in the newscast. But today, we're not being hit too bad. Other parts of the Northeast are. But let's check in with Devin Biggs to see just how much rain we're going to continue to get.
All righty, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. We offer a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 cash drawing. Stop by with your returnables and enter for a chance to win. All right, let's get into things this morning. We have a small crowd advisory posted for just a small spot right about in here. That's going to be expiring this morning, so that's pretty much getting out of here as we speak. But of course, we have fog to watch out for this morning, so you might be noticing some of that in parts of Bangor, Millinocket, and areas further off towards the east this morning, so you might be dealing with that at least for a little while yet. Meanwhile, though, here's the radar and satellite. We have showers and even some thunderstorms at times tracking from the west and going toward the east. This thing's a fast mover. It will be getting out of here this morning, but our chances for showers and thunderstorms doesn't end here. We will have more chances coming up throughout the afternoon period as well with this wave of energy tracking from the west and going toward the east. So this is just round one of showers and storms moving through. More opportunities will exist coming up later on today. So Futurecast moving forward, showing those chances again for scattered showers and storms this afternoon, maybe through the evening as well, at least the early evening part before we start to clear out as we head towards early Friday morning. As for the winds, though, not looking too bad, at least to start things off, but maybe later in the evening, the winds may start to pick up a bit, and the winds may continue also in the parts of your Friday. But your hourly forecast for the rest of the morning and afternoon period, overall a mixture of clouds and sunshine, chances for showers and thunderstorms will exist with temperatures in the 70s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
Thank you, Devin. We're not in the clear yet, it appears. Well, AAA projects a record-breaking number of Americans will travel over July 4th holiday week. ABC's MWin breaks down what to expect.
4th of July is almost here, and millions of Americans are expected to take a vacation during the holiday week, according to AAA's Independence Day travel forecast, which includes an unprecedented 2 weekends before and after the Thursday holiday.
We're seeing that some people are going to choose to leave that Saturday or Sunday before July 4th, work remotely from their destination Monday or Tuesday, and then take the rest of the week off and then come back the following weekend.
The forecast projecting the busiest travel ever for this holiday period, with nearly 71 million Americans heading 50 miles or more from home.
If we compare those same 9 days, including those 2 weekends, to 2023, that was the previous record. And before 2023, the previous July 4th record was 2019. This is still higher.
A large majority of those travelers, a record-breaking 60 million plus, will be hitting the road.
Road trips give people flexibility. So you can leave when you want, you can come back when you want. The only thing you can't control is the traffic.
The good news, with the travel spread out over the week, not everyone will drive to their destinations on the same days. AAA recommends drivers leave as early in the morning as possible or in the evening.
What happens is if you leave during either the rush hour windows or mid to late afternoon, those are always the most congested times of the day, because if people are working that week, you're going to have commuters mixing with travelers.
The forecast shows most people will head home the Saturday or Sunday after July 4th, with some returning on Monday.
Coming back Monday after July 4th, definitely be mindful of not traveling during rush hour, because that is a work day for most people.
Air travel will see a record number of travelers too, with nearly 6 million Americans flying domestically over the 9-day period. For peace of mind, AAA recommends reserving airport parking ahead of time and foregoing the checked bags if you can fit your belongings in just a carry-on.
If there is a delay or there is a cancellation, you've got your bag already with you and you don't have to worry about going back and getting your bag.
MWin, ABC News, Washington.
Sometimes even just having a carry-on doesn't work these days. I've been asked to check my carry-on before too, because they overpacked the plane. So there's always something. Okay, right after the break, Tyler Cruz has our sports updates. Don't go away.
Commercial vehicles can be dangerous, and they usually carry big insurance policies. So whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or a big rig like this, we know commercial vehicle accidents, and we know how to get you the big money you may deserve. If any commercial vehicle hurts you, call the twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the twos. We win for you. Call 222-2222.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
It all starts with a Chevy truck. Chevy Silverado with the TurboMax engine and best-in-class standard torque. And Chevy Silverado HD with up to 14 available camera views. Do more in a Chevy truck. Get yours now. Current Chevy lessees can get this Silverado for around $359 a month. Or current Chevy owners get $5,500 total value when you purchase.
Hi, Eastern Maine. Watch Person, Place, or Thing right here on ABC 7, weekdays starting at 10 a.m.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. Starting on the course once again, the third and final round of the Maine Open happening on Wednesday in Augusta. Will there be a Mainer crowned champion? Back to Augusta Country Club we go, and starting on the back nine, Topsom native Caleb Manuel, 2 shots off the lead, nails a tough putt to save par on the 10th hole. After this, the skies would open up. We'd have an hour rain delay. After the delay, leader Sean Bosdosh with a birdie putt on 12 reads it perfectly and just drops it right in. 213 now. Bosdosh's fellow Maryland native, Zach Barbin, a tough birdie putt of his own. He is going to get it from 15 feet. He finishes in third up to the par 3 17th. Manuel off the tee. What a shot here. Puts it within a couple feet of the cup. Sets up an easy birdie for him. He finishes second at 9 under for the tournament, but Bosdosh closing it with a par on the 18th hole. He wins the first Maine Open since 2019 at 11 under for the 3 rounds.
It was definitely difficult today. Played hard, and it feels nice to come through with the trophy. I kept myself in it. I just said to calm down, relax, and be okay with whatever happens, make good shots. Those things are more important to me than winning, and I did a good job coming down the stretch with that.
All right, let's look at the final leaderboard. Bosdosh, the winner at 11 under. Manuel just behind at 9 under. Zach Barbin 8 under, and then Will Frottig and Zane Thomas at 7 under and 5 under, respectfully. Let's go to the baseball diamond now. We reported earlier in the week that Maine Baseball Associate Head Coach Scott Heath is taking over the University of Southern Maine program. Heath, a Westbrook native, moves back closer to home and will take over for Ed Flaherty after 39 years. Heath was a star at the University of Maine as a player, and he played a huge role in their success as an assistant coach to Nick Durba. With all the recent success Maine has had, and with the amount of talent coming back, plus Heath's relationship with Durba, the decision wasn't an easy one, but one that aligned with his long-term goals.
It was a tough decision, and, I'll always be a black bear, but I felt like this opportunity was something, best for me and my future. At the end of the day, I wanted to run my own program. I didn't know where it would be, or what level I would be at. But, when this kind of came open, it just felt right to me.
Played a big role on the staff at Maine and says because of that, he feels really prepared to be a head coach. He takes over a program that has also had a lot of recent success, and he says he's excited for the chance to lead a historic program like the Huskies.
I'm just thankful and excited for the opportunity to kind of lead the program. And it's not only just any program, it's a program with national history and a lot of history in Maine. And that means a lot to me, being from Maine, and this is kind of where I grew up, and I'm very excited for the opportunity.
Wishing him the best of luck. Let's talk some basketball now. The 2024 NBA draft kicking off Wednesday night. The Boston Celtics, as defending champs, the last team to select, taking Baylor Shireman out of Creighton University with the 30th overall pick. The fifth-year senior averaged over 18 points and 9 rebounds with the Blue Jays this past year. He will likely start his career in Maine, a 6'6", 205-pound forward with a great outside shooting touch. Wishing him luck in his professional career. Staying with some basketball talk, later this fall, Mainer Cooper Flagg will tip off his freshman season at Duke, with all signs pointing to him being on that draft stage a year from now. The Newport native, who is currently the top-rated prospect in the country, is expected to be a lottery pick in next year's NBA draft. Former Duke star himself and current ESPN basketball analyst Jay Billis was in Maine this past weekend at the Drive 4 Kids Celebrity Golf Tournament. He says Cooper has all of the tools and the intangibles to be a top overall pick. Nice swing, too.
Cooper's the real deal, and he's so competitive.
That's one of the things I like about him best. I mean, he's got size, skill, superior athleticism. He's the complete package. But you put that with a high level of competitive attitude, which he has, and there's no question he's going to be great. If they held the next year's NBA draft now, he'd be the #1 pick without question.
All right, love hearing that. That is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Any slow sipper knows you'll enjoy your drink from McDonald's longer than anyone else.
Savor every sip of your favorite any-size soft drink for just $1.29. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
A new deck is a great, affordable way to improve your home or camp. Hammond Lumber Company can help you create the perfect deck for your outdoor space. Visit Hammond's product showroom and explore their extensive range of decking and railing options. Your Hammond sales rep will be happy to help you with your materials and design choices, and Hammond delivers from any of their 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Make this the year you enjoy that new deck you've always wanted. It starts when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
This summer, savor that longest-lasting bowl of chowder, that longest-lasting fireworks show, and that longest-lasting vacation. And now, at the Toyota Summer Sales Event, savor that great deal from the longest-lasting brand. Get your best summer deal on the all-new Tacoma 4x4 with a standard turbocharged powertrain. Tacoma is built for fun, and every Tacoma comes with 2 years no-cost maintenance. Savor the summer and see your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
If you have to ask why it's important to start your day early, here's your answer.
Kick your morning routine into high gear with any sized iced coffee for just $1.99.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. It now truly feels like summer for some Bangor residents as both of the city's public pools are now open. After a week of staff training, the Dakin Pool and the Beth Pankow Center in downtown Bangor have now finally opened their doors for folks to cool off in the summer heat. Pricing for both pools ranges from as high as $5 to as low as 50 cents. Something the Bangor's Parks and Recreation Assistant Director is proud to offer.
We want everybody to be here. Look, it's a great facility. We have water slides, we have toys out here for the little kids and a zero entry, and we want everybody to enjoy it.
Gendro also wants people to know that staff positions are still available. To learn more about that and the Dakin and Pankow pool hours and pricing, you can visit our website, foxbangor.com. All right, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs for one final look at that full forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. We offer a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 cash drawing. Stop by with your returnables and enter for a chance to win. Alrighty, here we go. The last of a small crowd advisory will be expiring this morning at 6 a.m. So that's getting out of here now. Of course, as we're watching out for showers and storms that have been greeting us as well this morning. But on top of that, this is why we had that small crowd advisory posted for a bit as the ocean still stirred up with buoys reporting at around 6 feet, not too far away. That will be improving coming up soon. But of course, really one thing that hasn't helped out with is the showers and storms, the active weather we've been seeing, and of course some lightning bolts at times as well. But we'll get this cluster through, and this is not the only round we have. We will have scattered chances for showers and storms coming up later this afternoon as well. So we'll get this wave of energy passing through with more development taking place as the daytime progresses on, especially during the afternoon period. So let's take a look at Futurecast here. So here's round one getting out of here. Then during the afternoon period, more scattered chances for showers and storms will be developing. We'll push this off to the east. Then coming up later on tonight, things will begin to calm down as the clouds get out of here. And then for your Friday, a beautiful day. Just a few passing clouds. That looks to be about it there. And then even by Friday night, just some clouds approaching, staying dry nonetheless. Then overall, they're looking pretty good, at least through early Saturday morning. So a little bit of rain on the way for us moving forward for today. This is additional rainfall on top of what we've already gotten. Most of it will be across the northern parts of the state, but locally heavy downpours could still occur in a few areas across the state, so don't be surprised if we get dramatically higher results compared to what others might be seeing. But otherwise, though, once we head towards Sunday, that's when we'll have to watch out for more widespread rain that will be on the way. So between now and maybe early Monday, a lot of rain looks to be entering the picture across the region. Otherwise, though, dew points will be on the rise again very soon. They'll fall later today, though, from the 60s back down to the 50s, if not lower. Then look at the sharp climb Saturday into Sunday. This might be a bit excessive, I think, though. though, but 70-degree dew point is not out of the question as we head towards late Saturday and the parts of Sunday. But meanwhile, though, your forecast coming up for today, scattered showers and thunderstorms with highs in the upper 70s and that west wind only at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Later on tonight, lower 50s, some thunderstorms possible early, then becoming mostly clear overnight with that west wind getting up to around 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, a beautiful day, mostly sunny, a little breezy out there with highs in the mid-70s and the northwest wind getting up to around 25 miles per hour at times. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Mostly cloudy on Saturday with highs in the low 70s. Chances for showers and thunderstorms exist on Sunday with highs in the upper 70s. The middle 70s for your Monday under a partly cloudy sky.
Your local professional eco-friendly office space partner is WVII Business Solutions, your one-stop shop to get the job done. Handling all your office furniture and printing machine needs at an affordable price. Offering full system integration into your workplace and local service on everything we sell. We can even remote monitor your system with just-in-time inventory and service need assessments. Little to no downtime gives you peace of mind. At WVII Business Solutions, your solution is only an email or a phone call away.
Hi, I'm Barry Gass, and my grandfather started Gass Horse Supply and Western Wear right here in Orono in 1911. Just after World War II, my father ran the business for decades. Now, with my wife and wonderful staff, we are continuing the tradition of bringing the American West to Maine. Our authentic Western boots are handcrafted for comfort, style, work, and casual wear. Saddle up with our premium selection of top quality saddles. Top it off with the perfect hat from classic to modern ranch. Gass Horse Supply and Western Wear in Orono, where the American West comes alive in Maine.
Adding comfort and beauty to your home for less is as easy as 1, 2, 3. During Renewal by Anderson's Easy 3Z replacement window event, the time to act is now, because Renewal by Anderson is making it easy and affordable with huge discounts on our exclusive custom replacement windows and our doors, along with special financing options so affordable you won't want to miss out on this event. And to top it all off, professional installation by our certified master installers is always included. Like we said, Easy 3Z. Call today.
Vehicle running a little rough? Let DNS Auto and Brewer fix you right up. Sales and full service repair shop. Running great now. DNS Auto, 510 Wilson Street in Brewer. Building relationships through quality sales and service.
True or false? I'm co-hosting a new trivia game with Gino Rodriguez.
True. True or false, it's coming to ABC.
True. You don't have to be a know-it-all to win it all.
That was my line.
Gino!
The Bangor Humane Society held a very sweet fundraiser yesterday called Whoopies for Whiskers. Employees and volunteers sold lemonade and whoopie pies, with proceeds benefiting the Humane Society to help offset the cost of animal care and other bills. Participants say it's important to support your local Humane Society.
I sold whoopie pies for $2 and lemonade for 50 cents. And I had 150 whoopie pies at the start, and we sold out in 32 minutes.
Some good stats there. To donate to the Humane Society yourself, visit their website, bangorhumane.org. All right, Good Morning America is next on ABC 7. We'll continue broadcasting on Fox 22. Hope you have a great day.
Comfy, cozy, relaxing. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find rockers, recliners, sofas, and easy chairs. Quality furniture, affordable prices. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
I got hurt by a big truck. Why did I call the twos? Because life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money, and I'll fight to get it for you. We got a client who broke multiple bones in a commercial vehicle accident, $700,000. Another client had a brain injury, and we got them $1.15 million. If you get hurt by a big truck, call the twos. We win for you.
Hurt by a big truck? Call the twos. We win for you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This local business would like to wish you a happy Independence Day, along with safe and fun celebrations all summer long.
As winter fades and the weather warms, you might not be ready to think about air conditioning, but Valley Home Services is ready because now is the perfect time to beat the heat. Fujitsu heat pumps from Valley Home Services are not only great sources for heat in the colder months, they're also fantastic air conditioners for the hotter months. And right now is the best time to install a Fujitsu heat pump so you can take advantage of the efficiency for what heating is left and get a jump on the cooling for the summer. Embrace the comfort with Fujitsu and Valley Home Services.
Durable, sturdy, stylish. Not Joe. Joe's Furniture. Joe's Furniture Warehouse in Newport is the place to find solid wood, built to last, made in Maine dressers, bureaus, and nightstands. Not your average Joe. Joe's Furniture Warehouse, Grogan Avenue in Newport.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Great news to the Rock Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Today on Good Morning Maine, a former physician at a Blue Hill hospital has been convicted in federal court for handing out narcotics. Plus, a plane crash on Swans Island on Tuesday appears to be related to a landing gone wrong. And we'll hear from two young Enfield Station School students who are now published authors. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Emma Smith and thank you very much for tuning in this morning. My colleague Craig Colson is taking a well-earned brief vacation. He'll be back on Tuesday. But hey, it's been a rainy morning so far and there may be some rain off and on today. So let's get a look at that forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
All righty, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. We offer a 10% bonus on